Hello friendly people of the internet, I am Hyper Super Sora, and today I'm talking about one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm talking about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So yeah, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is one of my favorite movies of all time. Only really is it even topped? I think it overtook Incredibles. Like, every single time I watch this movie, it gets better. Every single time. Just like, I don't get it, how a movie can be this good. Now, before I go on the big fanboy rant of why you should watch this movie, and I'm going to give a spoiler here, yeah, spoiler warning, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm getting ahead of myself again. I did not give this movie a chance when it first came out. My first experience watching it was through this DVD. Through this Blu-ray. I'm not sure what the kids are calling it these days, but it's a good movie. Streaming services, Grandpa Sora's getting old. But yeah, I did not see this movie in theaters. I thought it was gonna suck. Spider-Man 3, bad. Amazing Spider-Man, meh. Amazing Spider-Man 2, horrible. So, when they said they were doing this, and they were basically tripling the amount of characters, I went, just let Marvel buy you now. Just let Marvel buy you, so I don't have to deal with your incompetence anymore. But, they surprised me. And they made this absolute gem of a movie. So, let's actually get into the plot. This movie goes with the assumption, don't watch this as your first Spider-Man movie. First of all, do not watch this as your first Spider-Man movie anything. This requires you to have some level of knowledge on Spider-Man. Whether that's just knowing that he was bitten by a radioactive spider and got superpowers, or if you're like me and basically knew the inspiration of Gwenpool. Yes, it was just a design and then got a comic. So, as a fan, I'm thinking, again, I've seen them fuck up so many Spider-Man movies before this, mainly 3 and Amazing Spider-Man 2. I'm just going to abbreviate that to Amazing 2. That when Spider-Verse came out, I didn't want to watch it. I didn't. Because I thought it was going to be horrible. Well, I mean, the characters we need to focus on. You got Miles, you got Peter, you got the other Peter, you got Gwen, you got the fucking pig. You got Penny and the Spider-Bot, you got Noir, who's voiced by Nicolas Cage, and I don't hate him. This movie has Nicolas Cage in it, and I don't hate it. The villains, you got Kingpin, you got Doc Ock, you got Scorpion, and you got Tombstone, you got the Prowler. This movie said, I'm going to take all the bad things about Spider-Man 3 and Amazing 2, and I'm going to make them work. We only really focus on 2 villains, even though Doc Ock is my favorite. We only focus on Kingpin and Prowler. And for the central heroes, we got 3 that are comic relief and 3 that are mostly serious and main focus. The Pig, the Anime, the Noir are all comedy relief. They're good comedy relief, I will add. Fucking love that pig. Whilst Miles, Peter B. Parker, and Gwen are central trio, I'd say. But everything in this movie ties back to Miles. Why is he connected to Kingpin? Well, he murdered Spider-Man, who was going to teach him how to use his spider powers. And he's basically the Prowler's boss, Uncle Aaron's Prowler, and kills his uncle. Well, why is he tied into his dad? It's his fucking dad. Why is he tied into Peter? Because spider powers. Everyone in this movie is kind of revolving around Miles. And I don't mean that in a bad way. He's not a Mary Sue. Because nothing, I repeat, nothing in this movie comes easily to Miles. This universe does not revolve around him in the slightest. It revolved around the Spider-Man before him. That you could have considered, and that's why they killed him off in the first 10 minutes. I'm fanboying, alright? Plot, 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 plot. Okay, so we start off with the main universe of Spider-Man giving, hey, here's what I do, this is what I do, and I'm the one and only Spider-Man. Then it cuts to Miles. Him singing a little song in his element, doing things, relaxing, him going to a new school, him not really fitting in, not really getting it, I can understand that. Him struggling to adapt, and he just wants to be out of there. And I don't mean in the I don't care kind of way. Maybe I do. But it's clear he's out of his comfort zone, and he wants to be back in there. So, when he feels uncomfortable, when he feels like he has no one to turn to, he goes to Uncle Aaron. Aaron. And I'm going to say this now, I love Uncle Aaron in this movie. He's that cool uncle you always want to have. He's like that cool uncle. Well, that's the main goal. He's the cool uncle. Well, who turns out to be the Prowler. And he's very open with Aaron. Aaron very honest and kind of jokey with him. He's the most comfortable around Aaron. So then we are too. That comes up later. So it goes to Aaron. They go into the subway, where they throw some spray paint up. I'm not even sure if that's how it's said. I am not a youngin' anymore. They spray paint a wall. Aaron gets called mysteriously to go do something, and then Miles gets bitten by the spider. And we all know what that means. He's getting the powers and him going just... It's funny. It's funny to me. It's just like, he got bit. He's got the powers. Him. Then we go for him finding out he has the powers, and the whole fucking routine. The whole sequence of him discovering the powers and making an absolute fool of himself, where he meets Gwanda, Spider-Gwen. But he's making an absolute fool of himself, destroying everything. I'm just thinking, oh god, that hurts. Miles, get a hold of yourself, man. Oh, by the way, then. So, Miles wants to figure out answers. Just like, wait a minute, there can't be two Spider-Man. How am I sticking to walls like this? So, he goes back to where he spray painted the thing, inspects the spider's still there, sees it glitch out, which is probably why it's still there. I wouldn't imagine I'd want to eat something that was glitching out like that. I think I'd leave it alone. So he goes exploring, and his spider sense is going nuts, because that's what it is, it's spider sense. Gets answers, and he finds Green Goblin and Spider-Man. Why did it take me a minute to remember that? There's so many characters in this movie, and yet it works so well. Green Goblin doesn't show up again. He served a purpose, and now he's done. I'm just going to assume he died in the Collider explosion. Or it could be sequel bait. But Peter saves Miles at one point, and he promises him to show him the ropes. And then the Collider blows up with Peter still in there. He sees what I think is the Web of Life, if that was called. It's oddly beautiful. Well, and I can say that about most of the effects in this movie. The visual design, whoever fucking did this, it is a beautiful, wonderful set. I could fanboy about this movie. The visual design. The choice to go for 24 frames instead of 30 or 60. Mwah. Mmm. I want a fanboy so hard. Keep it cool, keep it cool, keep it cool. Collider blows up. Peter's really injured. He tells Miles to get out of there, gives him the bypass key? Override key. Tells him to get out of there, no one can see his face, blah, 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 blah. He gets out of there, but before he does, he sees Kingpin kill the original Spider-Man. Now, people have their theories that this was Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. I say no because he used a web shooter. Yeah, could it be? Maybe, but no organic web. And then Miles kind of panics and does a stupid. It runs off and the Prowler's after him, who, at this point, we don't know is Uncle Aaron. God, I hope you don't watch this review before I say anything. Please, please, please heed my spoiler warning, because I spoiled the best twist in this movie. So he narrowly manages to escape the Prowler. He's trying to psych himself up so he can do what he promised Peter, that he'd shut down the Collider. Then he tries to follow Peter's footsteps, jumping off the building, blah, blah, blah. He goes up in one building, ready to jump. Then he chickens out, finds a smaller building, jumps off that one, though. And in the process, he falls, and I originally thought he broke his leg, but no, he broke the goober. Bypass key. Access key. Goober. And he goes to Peter's grave. Everyone's mourning him. Even Miles' dad, who said that he hated Spider-Man. You could tell that when we went. Yeah, I paid attention to the background. I saw what happened. You don't think I don't pay attention? Bitch. Of course I do. Everyone's in mourning. You see Peter's tombstone with all these flowers and stuff on it. Miles goes up to it and starts talking to it. Then this mysterious figure walks up to him, and Miles gets startled, and he accidentally zaps him. If I seem like I'm all over the place, it's because this movie's all over the place, and somehow it still works. When people tell me that some movies are dead on arrival, I look to this, and I say, this was dead on arrival, and it worked. Why? Then a funny scene happens where I think Peter B. Parker got knocked out at least 3 times, or 4. But then Miles wants to ask this guy questions because, unlike the other people dressed up, he actually shot a web. So he's confused, blah, blah, blah. Takes him back to Uncle Aaron's place. Aaron isn't there. To question him about where he came from, and can he teach him. Miles is pretty bad at that. First lesson, kid. Don't watch the mouth. Watch the hands. And Peter B figures out that he broke the goober. I like Peter B in this movie. Does the B stand for Ben? But, yeah, I don't know Spider-Man's middle name. I'm sorry. Miles does guilt him into trying to teach him and take him along for the ride. Essentially. After they hit up Peter's favorite burger place that isn't around anymore in his dimension. So I'm imagining he hit up a Five Guys. There was a deleted scene where they're talking about the multiverse, blah, blah, blah. Not really important to the story. Plus, someone who knows comic books, I get it. Peter actually gives him some advice about the suit, baby powder. And we figure out the wonderful means of public transportation, which Spider-Man does use, so. They go to Alchemax. You don't think I wouldn't have noticed that reference? Oh, I'm a fan of Spider-Man and 2099 too. I know about Alchemax. They have Doc Ock live. She is the most evil character in this movie, and I absolutely love it. Like, I understand Kingpin's the main villain, but Doc Ock is the villain I'm paying attention to. She is evil incarnate, and she loves every single second of it. But yeah, they go to Alchemax, they fight Doc Ock. They get out with the computer and they meet up with Spider-Gwen, where it gets another comic book. Okay, let's do this again. Then they just need a place to hook everything up and actually make a new Goober. They go to Aunt May's. This movie has the best Aunt May in the entire Spider-Man mythos, and I will have no one disagree with me on that. This Aunt May is a fucking badass, a legend, and you will understand why I hate the MCU's Aunt May when this one exists. Compose myself. Peter B is going like, yeah, I'm not ready for this. I understand him. He buried Aunt May. Hey, and I imagine she's not ready for this either, since she buried Peter. But you could see all the gifts and stuff, and she has a baseball bat going, please, no more gifts. As she sees Peter, this time with a different hair color. They reconnect a bit. They talk a bit. The Goober thing comes from Peter B. It's always a bypass key, an override key, a something key, but I can never remember what it is, so I always just call it a Goober. But Aunt May, I believe, is the one who originated it, and I accept no less. She sees they need help with the Goober, or she goes, a Goober? Follow me. Kicks down the back door, or goes to the fucking shed where they have this fucking spider lair, where we meet up with our comic relief trio. Spider-Man Noir, Penny Parker. Admittedly, I don't know much about Penny Parker, I'm sorry. And Spider-Ham. One thing first. Nicolas Cage is in a movie and I don't hate him. Like, I'm not a big Nicolas Cage guy. There are only 2 movies that I actually like him in. This and Kick-Ass. One, we killed him, and this... How? I don't like Nicolas Cage in most things. How is he working in this? Like, when I figured out that he was voicing him, I just went... What? What the fuck? But they are a good comic relief trio, I will admit that. They do make the Goober after beating the shit out of Miles and giving him some doubt, and when he has doubt, when he has no one to turn to, he goes to Uncle Aaron. So he goes to Uncle Aaron's apartment. Uncle Aaron's still not there, he's writing him a note. Then the Prowler sneaks in. Then we figure out that Uncle Aaron is in fact the Prowler. You probably could have guessed it, and I've said it multiple times throughout this review. It's already 20 minutes. Fuck. But it worked on so many levels. The fact that Miles was so comfortable with him, and the audience got so comfortable with him too, we knew who Miles liked Aaron, and we know his dad didn't. We wanted to figure out why that was. Listen, we figured out why, because he's the Prowler. And this shakes Miles to his core. It's like, this person I trusted so much. He was the first person I wanted to talk to when I got these fucking spider powers. And he's been trying to fucking kill me? Ah! Goes back to Aunt May in a panic after a chase scene. And of course he got followed. And he's having this big panic, and then all the villains show up, and I love Aunt May. Can you take it outside? The fight scene happened. She's getting upset that her whole house is getting destroyed. I hope she has some good insurance. To another scene where I say Aunt May is completely badass. Tombstone. Can't feel pain. Aunt May somehow kicked his ass. Can you tell this is one of my favorite movies of all time? Every time I watch it, it just gets better. They have a fight scene. Miles reveals that he's the new Spider-Man to Uncle Aaron. Uncle Aaron lets him go, but then Kingpin kills him. And that is his Bruce Wayne's parents. That's his Uncle Ben. Uncle Aaron is now dead. His father thinks he did it. His father doesn't know he's Spider-Man yet. And it's just like, everyone knows that he's not ready. He can't go invisible on command, and he can't do his Venom strikes on command. And he wants to be ready. He wants to get this done. Kingpin killed his uncle. Well, and yeah, while the feelings probably would have been mixed up, that ending speech of him when he was basically on his deathbed, death pavement. I am evil. Saying that Miles was the best of all of them, and he let him down. Aaron let Miles down. Wanted him to look up to him. Just like, yeah, those are probably some complex emotions, but he still loved Aaron. I don't doubt that for a second. And I'm not sure if he wants revenge, justice. He's going through a lot right now. And the other spider people comfort him. They tell him they're saying goodbye. And that, look man, you're not ready for this. So they tie him up there after they scare the living shit out of the roommate. Or, he fanboyed too hard. Just like I would. And then he's tied up, and his dad comes around to tell him that Aaron's dead. And he gives him a motivational speech that gets Miles' ass into gear. He's able to do his Venom Strike on command and his invisibility on command. He's able to control his powers, for the most part. He meets up with Aunt May. Took you long enough. I love this Aunt May. I just love her. Please, more of her. Thank you. If you told me she was Madam Web or something like that, I wouldn't have cared. It's just like, more of her now. But I digress. I should use that phrase more often. I go on a lot of tangents about this movie because I love it so much. Anywho, we see Miles gets his suit ready. Instead of looking up to Spider-Man, and in the glass where it's not lined up to his head, now it is. Now he's ready. Now he's taking that leap of faith, and he's doing it, and he's ready to be the Spider-Man we all know he can be. They go to Alchemax. Next, they have this fight scene. Peter kind of snaps a little bit. I wouldn't say snap, but he has a moment of weakness when it comes to MJ. Hey, but that's besides the point. Because this isn't really Peter's story. Yeah, he's a part of it, but my focus is on Miles. Yes, Peter does get character development. Everyone in this movie gets character development. Even the fucking pig! they're on a losing fight, right? And then Miles comes in, saves the day, turns it all around. And this final fight, uh, one of my favorite scenes in this movie is when Spider-Ham kicks the shit out of Scorpion. And what are you supposed to be? Some silly cartoon? You got a problem with cartoons? Kicks his fucking ass! Aw, did that feel like a cartoon? Respect, bitches. They all say their goodbyes when Miles gets a hold of puts the goober in the collider, and they're able to reverse the thing. And they're able to send them back to their own home dimensions. First Penny, then Noir, then Ham. Ham, who says something I'm not sure I'm even allowed to say here. Then Gwen. Peter B sticks around now for a little bit. And then Miles gives him motivation to go. Kicks him and then throws him off the building to go. And tells him, not bad, kid. Final fight with Kingpin. Kingpin's trying to resurrect his family with Collider. But they're gone, man. They're gone. And you gotta look towards the future. Miles and Kingpin fights. Miles wins. And he's able to connect with his dad more. Or he's got a little more hold of life now than he did before. Finally meets his goddamn roommate. And it's just like, I've been about Spider-Man for 2 days and I'm not the only one. That's just fine. Hey Miles, you got a minute? He smirks as we get off the sequel bait for Spider-Verse 2. Which is actually happening, because the whole reason I wanted to do this review was to watch that trailer so you guys knew my opinion of the first one first. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. I could praise the story, I could praise the characters, I could praise the visuals, I could praise the music. The soundtrack in this isn't something I normally listen to, but everything just works about this movie. You caught lightning in a bottle. And yes, while I am excited for the second one, I don't think you're going to be able to top one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. Now that could also just because I've never seen that many movies, but this worked on me so well at the exact right time I needed it. And I was a big Spider-Man fan before I watched this movie, so I knew a lot of stuff coming into this. Yes. And I didn't think it was that great on a first viewing. It took that second viewing for me to really go, oh, this movie's like really good. And every single time I've watched it afterwards, it just gets better. I don't get it. If I'm being real nitpicky, it's in that first scene, it's in those scenes where Miles first gets his powers and he's making a complete fool of himself. I can't muster the strength to look at the scene since I can see him at the end of the movie. I'm just going, oh honey, oh baby, no. And it still works there, and it still works. 6 main characters, so many villains, so many side characters, and yet this worked. I don't get it. I don't think you're going to recapture the magic that was this movie. But if you have not seen Spider-Verse and you're, a decent Spider-Man fan, or you just know of Spider-Man, you know that he was bitten by a radioactive spider, and you want something to just sit down and watch, I can't recommend this enough. This topped Incredibles as my favorite movie of all time. So, swing on by, watch Spider-Verse with us, as we swing by next time to see what the trailer of Spider-Verse 2 is going to look like. Comment down below what you thought of the first movie, like the video if you liked it, subscribe to see more of my amazing content, and hit that little notification bell. to see when I upload all the time. Until next time, I've been Hyper Super Sora. Sayonara.